Hi, my name is Angela Dren. I'm a health promotion specialist here at Siouxland District Health Department. And today I have the opportunity to talk with you a little bit about our physical activity access project. This is a project that really helps communities implement changes to create a more walkable and bikeable environment, primarily for seniors. You might be wondering, how is this all tied to our community health improvement plan? One of the goals in the CHIP is to improve the physical well-being of individuals in Siouxland. One objective underneath that goal is to decrease obesity of residents by implementing various initiatives and strategies. And this particular project really fits into two of those strategies, strategy 3 and 4, to expand physical activity options for those that have a disability and to educate and support community members in maintaining a healthy lifestyle. Physical Activity Access Project is a grant that has been funded through the Iowa Department of Public Health. It's a cooperative planning project that we have the opportunity to work with Simcoe on, and Simcoe is our metropolitan planning organization. We began this project in 2019. Project really focuses on priority neighborhoods. We selected those neighborhoods based on low-income census tracts and where a higher percentage of seniors live. We also took into consideration locations of HUD housing complexes and proximity to food pantries and grocery stores and access to transit. This is a map that we created our first year to help us select our neighborhoods. We first started working in sections that are numbered 14 and 15. So those are somewhat in the middle of the screen. It's the darkest red area. That's the bigger area is 15. And just to the left of that is 14. This really is more of the Cook Park neighborhood and the Lions Park area. You can see a darker section that is red, number 12. We did not choose to work in this particular neighborhood, mainly because there were no HUD housing complexes. There were no grocery stores or food pantries in that area. So we worked in 14 and 15, and then that big section kind of in the middle is more of the downtown area. We worked in that the following year. We continued to work in the downtown area this year, and then we also added a HUD housing complex that is located out near the mall. We work with our housing complexes really to gather data related to walking in their neighborhoods. So information like common walking destinations, what works for them, what doesn't work for them, what barriers do they experience. The first thing that we do is we have the residents complete a survey. It's a very brief survey. We have that available in English, Spanish, and large print options. From there, we can hold a community input meeting with residents on site, basically just a discussion with residents to further clarify some of the findings from the survey. Dawn and I also are able to do sidewalk assessments in the study area. The sidewalk assessments are completed using GIS. It's a mapping software on our phones. So we actually go out, walk a particular area of the neighborhood. We're able to identify barriers, trip hazards, and sidewalks, things that may be infringed on the right-of-way of the pedestrian areas, things like trees that might encroach, maybe signals that aren't working. We'll identify crosswalks and some other things. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that a tad bit later. The inclusive walk audit is also something that allows us to really gather information firsthand. An inclusive walk audit is when we take a group of residents out on a walk around the complex in which they live. We encourage individuals who utilize either wheelchairs, mobility devices, walkers, individuals with any type of disability to go out on that walk with us. And it allows us to experience their environment the way that they do, so that we are able to identify barriers that they experience. We then take all of that information, we kind of summarize it, and we're able to share that with different coalitions and groups in our community. Some of the data that we have been able to collect from the resident surveys is somewhat specific, obviously, to the particular apartment complex. This data on the slide is for Martin Towers in downtown Sioux City. 67% of them reported using the bus, and 25% reported walking regularly. 64% reported not enough sitting or resting places. 81% felt the speed of traffic made it difficult to walk, and 45% felt the crosswalks and pedestrian signals don't help them feel safe when they're crossing the busy intersections. When we've held the community input meetings, there seem to be some themes that have come across at all of the apartment complexes that we talked with residents at. And so some of those findings are listed here on our side, but inadequate snow and ice removal seems to be a common theme. And I would believe that this would be for anybody in the area who maybe goes out for a walk after a recent snowstorm. But we just really need to be diligent, because individuals with mobility disabilities who go out and need to be able to walk to get from to get to one particular destination needs to have that snow and ice removed, particularly from the curb cut and the street, so that they're able to cross from one section over to the other and be able to do that safely. The Target bus stop seems to be a theme that came up as well, it being on the opposite side of the street. And then individuals, in order to cross and at a safer crossing, might have to go down to a large intersection, which there's a lot of traffic, and the speed of traffic along that stretch of road on Sunnybrook caused some barriers and some safety concerns for those individuals. Just generally not having enough time to cross certain intersections in our community. Sometimes individuals who might move a little bit more slowly through an intersection need a little bit more time to be able to do that. Uneven sidewalks and identifying certain areas that have rocks on the sidewalk or trip hazards is something that has come up. Lack of curb cuts, and then just generally lack of benches or bus shelters and places to rest if people are walking to a certain destination. So I mentioned the sidewalk assessments and the mapping software that we had used. Some of the information that we do collect on those assessments are the sidewalk condition, whether or not there's crumbling pavement, whether or not there's curb cuts, and the slope of those curb cuts is something that we measure. So if it's being maybe too steep for an individual in a wheelchair to be able to get down and cross safely, the crosswalks, the trees and brush that might infringe on the right of way, and then any other types of hazards. So the graph on this particular slide is of the downtown area. The sidewalk issues that we had identified are the red stars. All of those yellow squares are where curb cuts exist. The trees and brushes you can't really see on the slide very well, but they are a lighter green, kind of in the background. You can see a little bit of those on here. And then we have also identified the hazards, which are the green diamonds. So after summarizing all the data, we're able to share it with several groups in the community and begin to work on finding solutions. And since this is a planning grant, which I had mentioned, we're not really allowed to use the funds to make the environmental changes. So despite that, we have had some success in implementing changes. So we did work with the city of Sioux City to add a report, a snow and ice issue on the city website. The application for reduced fares for city transit is also available on the city website now. And some of the HUD housing complexes have included that application in their new resident orientation. We're able to get a curb cut installed near Centennial Manor that made it more safe for residents to be able to cross 3rd Street and go directly over to an adjacent curb cut, which is the location of a bus stop. We are looking for and going to be applying for some funds to add a bench on a city trail that will make it easier for people to access the farmers market. And we've also done some physical activity demonstrations at the HUD housing complexes. This just gives individuals an opportunity to see what types of exercises they can do in their own home with or without exercise bands. And then a common theme was just kind of a lack of information about transit, how it operates, not feeling comfortable using transit. So we have done some transit training sessions. We'll go over kind of routes and the maps and how do you find out what stops you need to go to. And we've also done some ride-along sessions. So we've taken groups of individuals, gotten onto a city bus, go down to the MLK, we'll do a transfer, and then we'll go back to the facility. So that's a little snippet of our physical activity access project. If you would like more information on this, please feel free to reach out to me. You can reach me at 279-6119 or email at adrent@siouxlanddistricthealth.org. Thank you.